לשלום, מלאכי השלום, מלאכי עליון. מי מלך מלאכי המלכים, הקדוש ברוך הוא. I'm starting to institute this new, it's very old, but new custom with us. Is the can you do this for a minute? Is that better? The guitar gets in the way. So I would like, I'm sitting here looking at faces I don't know. Faces I've never face-to-face seen here before. Maybe I've seen you in a teeny tiny box in the Zoom service. So I'd love if everybody just took a minute, look around to see if there's somebody you don't know, or say Shabbat Shalom to who's ever in front of you, behind you, next to you, your own family, whatever it might be. See, I got to be careful when I tell everybody to start talking. Once I let you start, you may never stop. We have lots of time to chit-chat later on. I know that it has been a week, a long week. I don't know, to me it seems like it's been a long week. I don't know about you, but for me it has. And we have, are the Banks here yet? Ah, fantastic. So I would like to call up Julie Bank to share a reading, which is very apropos for us going into Shabbat.
An artist cannot be continually wielding a brush. An artist must stop painting at times to freshen his or her vision. Living is also an art. We dare not become so absorbed in its technical process that we lose our consciousness of its general plan. The Sabbath represents these moments when we pause in our brushwork to renew our vision. Having done so, we take ourselves to our painting with clarified vision and renewed energy. This applies to the individual and to the community alike. By Mordecai Kaplan.
So we're going to do a song real quick because we realize that the candles are missing. So we're gonna work without those for a moment. And we're just going to sing a song about Shabbat. I imagine you guys will know this. Ma yafe hayom, Shabbat Shalom. Ma yafe hayom, Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat, Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat, Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat, Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat Shalom. You guys sound great. Ma yafe hayom. Shabbat Shalom. Ma yafe hayom. Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat, Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat, Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat, Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat, Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat Shalom. And all I can tell you is that this moment proves that music fixes everything. I'd be honored to call up Hillary and Brett Fawcett to light the candles for us.
give light to all who behold them, so may we, by our lives, give light to all who behold us. As their brightness reminds us of the generations of Israel who kindled light, so may we, in our own day, be among those who kindle light.
Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav, v'tzivanu lechad likner shel Shabbat. So as I say, I've been here in true Temple Sinai fashion, being the cozy, lovely synagogue group we are. We all rise and join together in the family blessing. If you do not know it, there's a laminated sheet in the pew in front of you. So join together. May God bless you and keep you. May He shine His face upon you and grace you. May He lift His presence unto you and grant you peace. May God bless you and keep you. May she shine her face upon you and grace you. May she lift her presence unto you and grant you peace. And grant you peace. Beautiful. Please, Shabbat Shalom, and please stay standing. We're going to move right into the Baruch Hu, which you can find in your prayer book on page 146. La 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 la. La 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 la. La 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 la. La 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 la. La 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 la. La 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 la. La 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 la. La 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 la. Baruch Hu et Adonai HaMevorach. Baruch Adonai HaMevorach, HaMevorach le'olam va'ed. HaMevorach, HaMevorach le'olam va'ed. And we're going to keep moving because we have a wonderful full service ahead of us. And we're going to move right into the watchword of our faith, the Shema, which you can find on page 152. Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad. 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 Baruch Shem kevod malchuto leolam va'ed. Baruch Shem kevod malchuto leolam va'ed. Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad. Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad. Please be seated, and I am honored to call up Andrew Hain, who will, as he does so wonderfully quite often for us, lead us in Ve'ahavta, which you can find on page 154.
Ve'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha bechol levacha uvechol nafshecha uvechol meodecha ve'hayu hadivarim ha'ele asher anochi metzavecha hayom al levavecha v'shinantam levanecha v'dibarta bam b'shivtecha b'veitecha uvlechtecha v'aderech uv'shochbecha uv'kumecha ukshartam leot al yadecha v'hayu letotafot beineinecha uchtavtam al mezuzot beitecha uvisharecha Leman tizkeru vasitem et kol mitzvotai vitem kedoshin lelohechem ani Adonai Elohechem asher hotzeiti etchem me'eretz Mitzrayim lehiot lachem lelohim ani Adonai Elohechem Adonai Elohechem emet.
Thank you. I always welcome help on the bima when I have a moment. Whenever I see Andrew walk through the door, I know that moment exists in the evening, so it's always wonderful to have him join us. We are going to move right on to Mi Chamocha, which you can find on page 158. And I will share with you that this is my favorite melody of Mi Chamocha. It reminds me of when I was a little kid. It's a Debbie Friedman melody. It's she has two Mi Chamocha melodies. One has a nigun with the ya la 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 la. This is not that one. This one is the one that I think is the rock sound. Mi Chamocha ba'elim Adonai Mi Kamocha Ne'edar b'kodesh Nora techilot Osei pele Osei pele. I love that one. It's abrupt and fun. I love that. We're going to move right into the central prayer of our service, into the Amidah, which you can find on page 164. And let's all please rise, and we will join together. Where's that? Adonai sefatai tiftach ufi yagid tehilatecha. Adonai, open up my lips that my mouth may declare your praise. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu, v'Elohei avotenu v'imotenu, Elohei Avraham, Elohei Yitzchak, v'Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, v'Elohei Leah, Ha'el Hagadol, Hagibor v'Hanora, El Elyon, Gomel Chasadim Tovim, V'Konei Hakol, V'Zocher Chastei Avot Ve'imahot, Umevi Geula Livnei V'neihem,
למען שמו באהבה. מלך עוזר ומושיע ומגן, ברוך אתה אדוני, מגן אברהם בעזרת שרה. אתה גיבור לעולם אדוני, מחיי הכל אתה, רב להושיע. מכלכל חיים בחסד, מחיי הכל ברחמים רבים. סומך נופלים ורופא חולים, ומתיר אסורים, ומקיים אמונתו לשני עפר. מי כמוך בעל גבורות ומדומה לך, מלך ממית ומחיה ומצמיח ישועה, ונאמן אתה לך חיות הכל. ברוך אתה אדוני, מחיה הכל. אתה קדוש ושמך קדוש, וקדושים בכל יום יהללוך סלה. ברוך אתה אדוני האל הקדוש. Please take this time for your own silent prayer and be seated when you're ready. יהיו לרצון אמרי פי והגיון ליבי לפניך. אדוני צורי, אדוני צורי, וגואלי, וגואלי. So tonight, the second Shabbat of the month, traditionally here at Temple Sinai, we read Torah, which we will be keeping the tradition of and reading Torah. As we've had for the last better part of little more than 2 months, with our rabbi being on sabbatical, we've had a tremendous amount of volunteers and people who wouldn't normally have been here to stand in front and be involved. And so I would like now to call up, and it's the ark is there, I promise. It's going to be opened, but so it will be opened. I'm going to call up Julie and Stephen Bank, if you can head on up here. And Stefan, I believe you're going to be carrying the Torah around as well. So come on up here, and we will begin our Torah service. Just go ahead and open it. Once it's open, I'll let everybody know. Everybody, please rise. Ein kamocha v'Elohim Adonai, ein kemasecha, malchutecha malchut kol olamim, u'menshaltecha b'chol dor v'ador. Adonai melech, Adonai malach, Adonai imloch le'olam va'ed. Adonai oz le'amo yitain, Adonai yivarech et amo v'shalom. Av harachamim. Yerushalayim Kibnei Homot Yerushalayim. And I'm going to tell you that Stephen is removing the Torah from the ark right now. And Julie, if you'll go ahead and close the ark, and Stephen, maybe come down front and we'll do the beginning of our Torah service. Shema Yisrael, not yet. Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad, Echad Eloheinu, Kadosh Adonenu, Kadosh Shemo. Lecha Adonai Hagedula V'Hagevura V'Hatiferet V'Hanetzach V'Hachod Ki chol b'shamayim u'va'aretz Ki chol b'shamayim u'va'aretz Lecha Adonai HaMamlacha Ve'amit na'aseh lechol lerosh. It's a one-woman show over here. Shalom, 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 shalom. Shalom, shalom. It is a tree of life to them that hold fast to it, and all of its supporters are happy. It is a tree of life to them that hold fast to it, and all of its supporters are happy. Shalom, 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 shalom. Shalom, 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 shalom. Eitz chaim hi lamachazikim ba v'tomhecha me'ushar. Eitz chaim hi lamachazikim ba v'tomhecha me'ushar. Shalom, 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 shalom. Would you be seated? Hold the Torah with you. Please be seated, everybody. You can sit with the Torah. And I'm honored to call my mother up, Marilyn Weiss, who's going to help to undress the Torah. And we also, at this time, will call up Maggie Freed, who will be reading Torah for us tonight. Did you get there? I didn't. I told them because they call them as the Bradshaw family. Yeah. The Bradshaw family. Okay. I told them ahead of time. All right. Thank you. Careful. There you go. Whoops. Put that on the other side. Stephanie, put that there for us. Thank you so much. I want to comment. I kind of joked. It's like a one-woman show up here, but I love that. I love everybody just goes with it. It's wonderful, and I want to thank Stefan. There's nothing better than seeing a teenager up here. There's nothing better. I mean, we love seeing little kids and all that stuff, but to see a teenager come up and carry the Torah post bar mitzvah. Stefan, how long has it been since your bar mitzvah? 2 years, and he's still here. So it's wonderful that he can be asked, because many would shy away. So kudos, Julie, fantastic. Do you want to do your intro? Sure.
So this week's Torah portion, Vayakel, lays out the actual work of building the Mishkan according to the detailed plans given to Moses in earlier portions. It begins with a reminder about not working on the Sabbath, even for the holy work of building the Mishkan. Something for consideration. The Israelites are asked to bring gifts for the building of it as they are moved in their hearts to do so. The verses I'll be reading tell that they bring more than is needed for the building, and those doing the work tell Moses they need to be stopped. And so Moses stops them from bringing. I'll be chanting from chapter 36, starting on verse 2, and that is in the blue Plout commentary on page 614 and 615, and in the green women's commentary, page 529.
And within the love of bringing up children, families, we get to bring up the Bradshaw family who will be doing the Aliyah. So we will formally call up Ta'amod, the Bradshaw family.
Here, let me open it and get the place. This is where it's starting, right here. That's where it's going to start. Okay.
Baruch hu et Adonai hamavorach.
Baruch Adonai Hamvarach Leolam Va'ed.
Baruch Adonai hamavorach leolam va'ed. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech ha'olam asher bahar banu mikol ha'amim v'natan lanu et Torato. Baruch atah Adonai noten ha'torah.
Amen. Can you hold this side? Yes, thank you. Amen. Vayikra Moshe el Betzalel ve'el Aholiav ve'el kol ish chacham lev asher natan Adonai chachma belibo kol asher nesa'o libo likorva al hamlacha la'asot otach vayikhu milifnei Moshe et kol hatruma asher heviu b'nei Yisrael limlechet avodat hakodesh la'asot otah v'hem heviu elavod nedava baboker vayavo kol hachachamim haosim et kol melechet hakodesh ish mimlachto asher hem haosim Vayomru el Moshe, Vayomru el Moshe, Vayomru el Moshe lemor, marbim ha'am lehavi, midei ha'avodah lemalacha, asher tziva Adonai la'asot otah. Vaitzav Moshe, vayaviru kol b'machaneh lemor, ish ve'isha al ya'asu od melacha letumat hakodesh, vayikale ha'am mehavi, vehamlacha hayta hadayam lechol hamlacha la'asot otah vehoter.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher natan lanu Torat emet, v'chayei olam nata b'tocheinu. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah. Amen.
I thank the Bradshaw family so much for being here. And I get a moment that Maggie doesn't know right now, which I'm going to share. Maggie, at the end of this month, will not be the chair of the ritual committee. And in my tenure of 2 whole years, the only ritual chair I've known, but it has been an honor to learn. I learned Temple Sinai from you. I learned how things work, and I'm honored to be able to. And Maggie, you should know, has done pretty much everything at the synagogue. How many years have you been a member?
25.
Only 25 years. So thank you for everything, always. And let me grab my. We're going to take a moment while the Torah is open. Normally, it would be between aliyot, but we're doing one. So to do the Mishaberach blessing. So if you have names that you'd like to share, we will do that in between the verses. You can find the words for Mishaberach on page 371. Mishaberach Avotenu Mekor habracha Leimotenu. May the source of strength, who bless the ones before us, help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say, Amen. If you have a name you'd like to share, please raise your hand. Okay. Shan. Carolyn? Mark? Stephen? Is your mom's hand raised? Can't tell. Oh, Ronan. Tina? Ronnie's? Yeah. Back. Go ahead. Yep. And we all join together for the second verse. Mi sheberach imotenu mekor habracha liavotenu. Bless those in need of healing with refuah shlema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say, Amen. And we wish healing for everyone quickly. And at this time, I'm honored to call up Billy Weiss, who will be lifting the Torah for us, which is rolling right now. As the Torah is lifted, please rise. You're cool with it?
Sorry.
You're cool with it?
Yeah.
Okay, there you go.
Which way does it face them?
I'm going to pick it and then turn so people can see it. Vezot HaTorah asher sam Moshe livnei bnei Yisrael al pi Adonai biyad Moshe. If you're going to walk, just go and sit there. Here, wrap it, cover it. Yeah. Shlosha devarim, al shlosha devarim, al shlosha devarim, ha'olam omen, al shlosha devarim, al shlosha devarim, al shlosha devarim, ha'olam omed. Al ha'torah ve'al ha'avodah ve'al gimilut chasadim. Al ha'torah ve'al ha'avodah ve'al gimilut chasadim. And we'll all stay standing as Billy will return the Torah to the ark. Andrew, would you mind opening the ark for him? Eitz Chaim hi lemachazikim ba Vetom hecha meushar derachecha darchei noam lechol netivotecha shalom hashivenu Adonai Elecha v'nashuva Chadesh Yameinu kekedem. And as the ark is being closed, we all may be seated. So we've reached the highlight of our program. Not to say it wasn't a highlight, but the guest speaker part of the program tonight. I am, of course, honored to bring my father up front, Mark Weiss, along with Monice Newman. And we're going to enjoy listening to stories about very important things for our for us all. What do you think?
Well, I have been in this synagogue many, many times, but I've never stood at this part of it looking back at you, and it's a beautiful view. It's a beautiful synagogue. It's representative of modern-day Judaism and something that's very, very important. My brother, who some of you may know or may have known, was Ken Weiss. He was a rabbi here starting in 1972. Of blessed memory. He passed away about 12 years ago, and he was my mentor. He was somebody who I could count on, and I was one of the people that he could count on. And he was my big brother. He was just a really good guy. So I say it's the first time that I've been up here looking in the other direction. I was sitting here looking in awe at him during the high holy days or Friday night services or whatever it was when we were a lot younger. I think I was young at one point. I hope so. Thank you so much. So 13 years ago, I retired. What? Okay, is that better? Okay, here we go. About 13 years ago, I retired. I was a physician, and I didn't know what to do with the rest of my life, but I knew that I had to get out of Los Angeles. And so with Marilyn's basically acquiescence, we moved up to Northern California. We moved into a beautiful area in Walnut Creek on a golf course, and I played golf. It was it was kind of a dream come true for me. And then all of a sudden, we started having more grandchildren. And we ended up having more in-laws marrying my kids, and one of my grandsons who I wanted to be more involved with, just extremely important to me. So I came back here. My golf game sucked. And so I came back here, and once again, I woke up one morning, I said, what am I going to do? I started searching for a cause, something that I could do that would have meaning. More meaning than anything in my life. So, by coincidence, just by pure coincidence, my son marries into a Holocaust family. And his family is probably one of the warmest, most giving people in the world. They're just all inclusive. So we get to know each other, we see each other often, and all of a sudden the daughter, who's totally involved in the Holocaust Museum in Los Angeles, along with her parents, her parents, whose parents were initial supporters of the building of the museum, said to me, gosh, you talk pretty well. Why don't you become a docent at the Los Angeles Holocaust Museum? And I'd been studying the Holocaust on and off for years because, as it turns out, I end up having 35 members of my family that were killed in Auschwitz that I had no idea about. One day I was at a bat mitzvah in Chicago, and I said to my wife, let's go see the graves of my ancestors. And I come into this little grassy area in a cemetery called Waldheim, which is now closed to new customers. And we come to this little area, and there's this big stone in the middle of it, and it has, in honor of the 35 our relatives, our brothers and sisters and aunts and uncles who were killed in Auschwitz. And I knew nothing about it. So all of a sudden, it sort of lit a fire, I think, under me, and I was asked to become a docent at the museum, which was a godsend. I met so many wonderful people. The class that I took was about 12 weeks long. It was a lot of studying, a lot of fear. I was old. The brain cells were a little bit murky, and I had some cobwebs up there. But we ended up having the opportunity to learn, but not only to learn about what this is all about, it was also about them and us. I learned so much. So now I finish, and I pass the test. And it was quite extensive, and it was very, you know, you can ask Marilyn, I was quite nervous for a week before this happened. And I end up having the two most intellectual people who are I'm going to take them on a tour. And they've been docents for 10, 15, 20 years. One of them is teaching the class. So I walk in there and I see this and I say, oh my God, I'm never going to be a docent. There's just no way. Anyway, their critiques were wonderful. They were appropriate. And their guidance was even more appropriate. So I get finished, and I felt that there was just something missing. Something was missing. What was that? I didn't know until I saw a flyer for the March of the Living. For those of you who don't know what that is, it's a tour that has been established by March of the Living that Moniz will tell you an awful lot more about than I will. And I went on the march. 10,000 people came together in Poland and were able to enter Auschwitz together. 8,000 children, teenagers, 2 years beyond bar mitzvah. And 2,000 of us old folks, or older people, with a guide who is a doctorate in Holocaust studies, and he has 2 masters in an associated issue. The nicest guy you could ever meet. Anyway, I went. And I came home a completely different person. To my wife's dismay, in certain things, I know that it's been difficult because I had so much to say. At that point, when I got home, I said, okay, it's time for me to become a docent. And I took my first tour there. What I want to do, and I'm going to turn it over to Moniz in a couple of minutes, what I wanted to do is to tell a story. That's what it's all about, being a docent. Our museum is the oldest museum in the world, by the way, and the only museum that was established by survivors who went to Hollywood High School and said, what are we going to do with all the things we brought with us? So they got together at Hollywood High School learning English as a second language, and they said, hey, let's start a museum. And there were 4 different iterations to the one that we have now. And now we have a gorgeous museum that we're adding 25,000 square feet to, and it'll be completed at the beginning of 2026. I want to have above the door as you walk in, learn the story. We all know the story. We all have experienced the story at some level, but I want, in my teaching, and now I know how important it was for my brother to teach some of you possibly, and more importantly, to teach the children and the elderly and so on and so forth about Judaism. I want to be able to, I'm not a rabbi, I don't have any intention of ever being a leader of a Jewish organization, but here I am. But I'm not talking to Jewish people generally when I'm there. I'm talking to kids from Title I schools who know nothing. They don't even know what a Jew is, necessarily. But I want them to learn the story so that they can go out, and on the way in, I want to learn the story. On the way out, above the exit, I want to have it say, teach the story. I want to offer you very quickly the opportunity to get a hold of me, and we'll establish a tour should you want to. There's no force to this, and a lot of you probably have been at Holocaust museums in the past. But this is your Holocaust museum. It's right here. It's in the palm of your hand. And the people who are involved are wonderful. Now, Monice. She is the director of, one of the directors of the March for the Living. She's wise beyond anybody of her age should be. She's welcoming. She established a rapport along with several other people who put us in a place that not only did we appreciate the fact of what we were learning, but as I said before, we fell in love with each other, and it was very special. So Monice Newman, please join me up here, and she's going to tell you a little bit more in detail about the march itself, and I'm here for you at any time, and you know that. Since Ken was here in 72, that's how long I've been associated with your synagogue. The best person in the whole world.
Oh, no, Marilyn is the best person in the world.
She puts up with me.
Thank you. And I am most grateful to all of you to be here tonight. And a huge thank you to Cantor Allison and to Mark. Because this is a privilege to be able to spend Shabbat with you. And I have to tell you that I've been involved with March of the Living for the past 2 decades, and the best part of all of this is the people that I have become involved with and have become part of my life and my family. And Mark is the top of the list. He's a real mensch. As you can tell, I was not born in America. On Sunday, my family celebrated our 49th year since arriving in this country from South Africa. If you would have told me when I arrived in New York initially that I would have become a Holocaust educator, I'd have said there's no way. That the subject scares me. I can't even talk about it. On May 6th, I will stand on the grounds of Auschwitz for the 20th time. Now, why in anybody's, thinking would somebody desire to go back to Auschwitz 20 times? And I'll tell you because it is the words of Simon Wiesenthal, who, when he survived the war, and was an architect, a trained architect, and when he survived, he decided he was going to become a Nazi hunter. And when they said to him, Mr. Wiesenthal, why are you doing that? And he said, because one day, when I get to the other side, I want to tell the souls who were murdered that I did not forget you. So thank you in advance for allowing me to share a little bit about myself and the passion that Mark has brought tonight. It's not about 6 million people. It's about 1 + 1 + 1 + 1. It's about your brother, your sister. It's about Mark's 35 people on the tombstone, but it's about each name. I'm going to try a little technology. I'll be honest, I suck at technology. So thank you, Cantor Allison, for making this happen. If you go to the Yad Vashem website, this is the saying that you will find. It was written in a journal by a young man by the name of David Berger, who was murdered. And his last entry in his journal was, I should like someone to remember that there once lived a person named David Berger. So we're standing in Temple Sinai of Glendale. Many years later, I'm not also good at math either, to tell David Berger that we did not forget him. I want to tell you a little bit about myself and why I feel compelled to do what I do. My last name is Newman. I married my wonderful husband nearly 40 years ago. His father was born in Germany. And when Hitler came to power, my husband's grandfather lost his job. And they were lucky enough in 1938 to escape Germany, and they got to South Africa. And the very first time I walked into Auschwitz, there is a room about half the size, through some plexiglass, just filled with suitcases. And one of the first suitcases that I saw was my last name. It's got two N's, it's Neumann. Now, it says GEB, which is German for Geburte, which means born. So this young person who thought they were just going to a work camp and packed their stuff lovingly in a suitcase was perhaps at the oldest, 4, 5, 6, at the very oldest. And when she or he came to Auschwitz, they went one place, and that was to the gas chamber. So I have dedicated this picture of the suitcase sits at my desk so that I can remember, it's a J actually, J. Newman, to make sure that their life was extinguished but not forgotten. I have a strange name. I'm not sure anybody's ever heard of somebody called Moniz before. You know, like most South African Jews, my family came from Lithuania. My great-grandfather's name was Monis. They decided to be cute. They added an E and they got Moniz. It is not a common name. But when you stand at the Umschlagplatz, which is the deportation center in Warsaw, it's just a wall full of names. Because the Jews from the Warsaw ghetto were taken one place, mostly, and was Treblinka, where very few people survived. And there, as you can see, is a replica of my name. It could have been me. What is the March of the Living? In 1988, a group of people from Israel decided we could not change history, but we could remember it, and we could remember it in a way not just about how people died, but how they lived. You cannot come on March of the Living just to see how people died. It is not fair. There's a 1,000-year rich history of Jewish life in Poland. So in 1988, a group of about 1,000 people came to communist Poland with cans of tuna and some pickles. There was no kosher food then. And they did the very first march to ensure that we started on a journey not to forget. If you fast forward 36 years later, we have taken up to 300,000 people on this journey. And what the picture that you're looking at is actually Birkenau. That's the gates of hell. Through that gate of hell, 1.1 million people were murdered. The train track that you can see with these emblems on them were built for the Hungarian Jews. And this year is the 85th anniversary of the deportation of the Hungarian Jews. And I want you to know that on May 6th, 1,000 Hungarian students, not Jewish, sponsored by the Hungarian government, are taking the train from Budapest to Auschwitz to march with us, to ensure that the next generation does not repeat the horrors of the past. March of the Living started, as Mark said, with a small group of people, mostly teenagers. But what has happened is that the teenagers would come home and say it was the most remarkable journey, and parents and grandparents said, I want to come also. So we take mostly 11th and 12th graders from all across the world. And as you can see, this is the day of the march from Auschwitz to Birkenau. There is a very renowned historian by the name of Michael Birnbaum. Michael Birnbaum has written the books and the movies, and he knows more in his baby finger than I'll know in my entire body. And he said to me something that I will never forget when he saw these 10,000 people marching from all across the world, Jews and non-Jews. He said, I've written the books, I've helped curate the movies, but I've never understood or seen what the number 10,000 is. And this, my friend, is the amount of people that were murdered in one day in Auschwitz. But it is also a march of life, because for me, as a Jew from South Africa, that I can listen to Cantor Allison's incredible voice and know the same tunes. It is a march of life. You know, I keep saying to myself, I can't do this again. It's messed with my mind. But then I go and I see this and I sing the Shema in Birkenau, and I'll say, I'm going to do it again. And I want to lay the seed, just a little kernel, not now, for you to think about taking this journey one day with us. Because having Cantor Allison, her voice, lift up with your voices to make sure that Simon Wiesenthal's words ring true, that we haven't forgotten them, is incredibly, incredibly powerful. This speaks louder than words, because on the day of the march, we give everybody a placard to put on the train tracks. This says it all. To Mark's family, who he didn't know, but we're all a family. It's a really beautiful picture. Elie Wiesel said, when you hear a witness, you become a witness. Now, I don't know if anybody in this room has parents or grandparents who are survivors. But I can tell you after two decades, and Mark can tell you because he's a docent at the museum, that our survivors are getting older. We're losing survivors every day. The youngest survivor that I work with is 91 years old. So we need to become the witnesses to the witnesses. And it has been a privilege and a pleasure to introduce you to some of the witnesses who have graced my life and changed the lives of thousands of students and adults who have accompanied me on this journey. This is Sidonia Lax. She died 2 years ago. She survived Auschwitz at the age of 16 as an orphan. She was turning yellow in the ghetto. She was hiding under a building when her father heard that there were apples. So he snuck out of the safe place of hiding to get Sidonia an apple. And he never came back. So she carried around an apple to make sure that every child or every adult who listened to her understood the power of what an apple represented. She told me, and I will be very honest, since October 7th, it has been not a good world. And she told me, and I told this to Mark, she said to me, I am not a survivor, I'm a thriver. And I thought to myself, if Sidonia Lax could survive Auschwitz as an orphan and come to this country with not one word of English, then we are going to survive and we're going to thrive. When you go to Belzec, there are other Sidonias. These are the names. Belzec was a death camp where there were 2 survivors. And when one of them was going to give testimony after the war ended, he was shot and killed on his way to give his story. This is Paula Leibowitz. Paula is 91, and unfortunately she has dementia right now. But that is a very famous picture. When they were liberated and the Russians came, they actually got the kids to pose. And that's Paula as a 12-year-old child who survived Auschwitz. And the other people are the same people in that picture. This picture hangs in Auschwitz. And we go there and tell everybody about the legacy of what Paula Leibowitz has done for us. These are all the survivors who I have traveled with on March of the Living, and unfortunately they are no longer with us. So I am the witness, now you're the witness, and I have to, that man standing on the stairs is Freddie Diamond. Freddie Diamond lived in Los Angeles. And one day when he was a prisoner in Auschwitz, he was standing, this is bunk 11, when they had appel, which is roll call. And there were 3 nooses that were erected, and everybody was made to watch. And 3 young men were brought up to be hung. And one of them was his brother. And he watched his brother being hung, and his only crime was that he wanted to escape the horrors and hells of Auschwitz. Arbeit macht frei, work will set you free. It was a complete and utter lie, and I'm not sure if everybody can see it. It's not a great picture, but something that if you ever make this journey, look at the B in Arbeit macht frei. It's upside down. Because who made this, wanted the world to know that there was something insidiously wrong with this place. A room full of shoes. I don't know about you, I tried on 3 pairs of shoes tonight. Which would be right? Should I wear sandals? Should I wear closed-toe shoes? Is it going to be cold? How much effort goes into a pair of shoes that we're wearing? Who owned the pair of red shoes? And I want you to know that these shoes are disintegrating. And last year, working with the Auschwitz Museum, the International March of the Living raised $500,000 to restore the shoes. Because the owners of the shoes are no longer alive. Their legacy is a pair of red shoes. This is a gas chamber where 700 people were crammed. Every time you go to a different memorial in Poland, they try to evoke different kinds of memories. So on the left, this is Treblinka, where Treblinka has 17,000 stones representing the number of small towns and places from which Jews came that they were murdered. On the dome-shaped locality is a death camp, which is a place of horror, called Majdanek. That dome holds the ashes of thousands and thousands of people. And on the bottom right is Belzec. another death camp. These are all memorials about how do we capture, how do we tell the story. Going to Poland has every kind of emotion you could possibly imagine. Standing in the JCC in Krakow, where the first time after 80 years there's a Jewish nursery school. There's Shabbat services in Krakow. There's life. People are discovering their Judaism because on their deathbeds, grandparents are telling their children and their grandchildren that they're Jewish. They came back to communist Poland. They didn't want to tell anybody they were Jewish. And the JCC director did something really smart. He put up billboards all across Krakow with pictures of candlesticks and challah. And he said, if you have this in your life and you don't know why, come through our open doors, I will explain to you. And more people are discovering their Judaism. This, for me, is the hardest place in the world. Because this is a mass grave for 800 Jewish children who were clubbed to death. And what was their crime? Just being Jewish. You know, I have spent 2 decades saying never again. We've taken 300,000 people, Jews, non-Jews, of all races, all religions. And October 7th happened. But we cannot allow them or anybody to say, A, that the Holocaust never happened, and B, that we're not going to continue to tell the story and survive. As I said to Mark, I keep going because Sidonia told me that she was a thriver. So we're going to thrive, and we're going to pay homage to these incredible souls whose souls are hovering in a place called Zbilagovska Gora. They're not numbers. If you get anything from my presentation and Mark's, please understand, this is not a number. It is not 6 million. It is somebody's brother, sister, aunt, cousin, baby sister.
There are people behind every number.
Thank you. It's exactly right. But it's also important for us to understand about being upstanders. In Treblinka, where there's 17,000 stones and places of just names, there's one name. One name. Dr. Henry Goldschmidt, who was a pediatrician, he was kind of like the Dr. Spock. I just have the book of Dr. Spock. I'm sure everybody who's younger than, 30 has no idea who Dr. Spock is because you have Google. But when I was raising my children, there was I didn't know Mark, so I couldn't call him if there was something wrong with their foot. But so he had a radio show, and he was actually allowed to leave. And he said, I'm not leaving. He ran an orphanage. So he went with his children. He marched through the streets of the Warsaw Ghetto, took the train to Treblinka, and he was murdered along with the orphans that he took care of. He's Janusz Korczak. Okay. I'm going the wrong way. Am I? No. Yes. I grew up in South Africa, and I lived under apartheid. And, we all were safe in our little enclaves. And I'm not sure what we did. There were wonderful people. And I always think to myself, if I lived through the horrors of the Holocaust, what would I do? Because understand that the Nazis said that it was a crime to help a Jew. If you helped somebody, you actually would be murdered, and so would your family. This is a righteous Gentile who I had the privilege of meeting last summer in Poland. She and her mother, who was a single mother, saved a 13-year-old girl whose family had been taken. And I always think when we go on this journey, the question to ask ourselves before we point fingers, and there are lots of fingers to point, what would you do? As I said, I don't want you, this journey and the seed of kernel that we're planting here tonight, to think it's only about death. This is the JCC in Krakow, where they're offering Hebrew. And they have a huge thing with the Ukrainian refugees, that they have provided all kinds of services and classes. And I said this is the first time that there's actually a nursery school, a Jewish nursery school in Krakow. The rebirth of life. These are tombstones. The Nazis, in their horror, took these tombstones, destroyed them, and made them into roads. They have been taken back and restored. This is a synagogue, and if there's ever a reason to come on the march, this is it. For me to take you to a town called Landshut or Wandsut. It was painstakingly restored. You can see the prayers on the wall by a Polish non-Jew who has dedicated his life to honoring the Jewish community in a town called Landshut. This is the Jewish Community Center in Warsaw. This woman in the middle is their cantor. A famous poet by the name of Zelda talks about each of us having a name. And what we do is before we go on the march, we take your names and we put them against the Yad Vashem database and come up with a name similar to yours, because believe it or not, my husband's name is Anthony Newman. When I did it, I found an Anthony Newman. Because this is a journey of one person at a time. I just want to tell you about a powerful story that happened on the last march. This is my rabbi. I belong to Adat Ariel. His name is Brian Schuldenfrei. And when he came to the synagogue, I approached him and I said, Rabbi Schuldenfrei, would you lead a delegation? And he said, well, actually, my family's from Tarnów, which is about an hour and a half outside of Krakow. I said, Rabbi Schuldenfrei, if you come, I'll make you a promise. I'll take you to the grave site in Tarnów. And through a little bit of detective work, through the Holocaust Museum LA, and through the restoration of Polish non-Jews in the city of Tarnów, Rabbi Schuldenfrei found the grave of his great-grandfather. And for the first time in 80 years, we said Kaddish with his children on the phone and his father as well. One story, one person. This is the memorial in Krakow. It's a city block, and it's called the Empty Chair Memorial. And it's just a memorial of chairs. And I want you to think about who sat on them. What did they like to do? Did they like to play ball? This is a Belzhitz, the day of the march. It's about life. These are all the survivors that came with us in 2023. To me, that's a very, very, now you can actually see the bee better in this picture. I think that's a very powerful place for us to display the flag of Israel. This is my contact number, but you'll have it here also. And again, I want to thank you for your attention. This is a very painful part of our history, but it is imperative that we not forget part of this very, very important journey. As Mark said, I'm not going to do the whole spiel about March of the Living, but it always takes place on Yom HaShoah, on Holocaust Memorial Day, depending on when it is on the English calendar. This year it's in May, in 2025 it's in April. And I'm going to leave you just with the thought of one day making a journey like this with us. We'll hold you up so that we can walk out proud, because I think there are many reasons not to come on this journey. There's 6 billion reasons why you should. Thank you. I'll have flyers if anybody wants at the end.
Thank you, Monice. Wow. That's a lot of, I've obviously heard it from my dad firsthand, but to see these pictures is quite powerful. I do want you all to know who are here, May 5th, am I right? May 5th, our Brotherhood sponsors our Yom HaShoah event, and we have, I've been told that we have secured a survivor who will be here, who will be coming to speak, and there's breakfast too. That being said, at this time I'd like to call up Ronan Lazary to share a new, in our just past ritual committee meeting, we talked about wanting to make sure that we add a prayer for Israel in all of our Shabbat services. So this is written by a very modern day Jewish writer and all, Anat Hoffman, and it's a bit more of an updated, more so than when we read inside the prayer book, which is obviously pre what we're living in now. So,
My God Eli, in this sacred moment, give us hope for Israel and her future. Renew our wonder at the miracle of the Jewish state. In the name of the pioneers who made the deserts bloom, give us the tools to cultivate a diversity of Jewish expression in Israel. In the name of the fallen soldiers, give us courage to stand up to the words and the ways of zealots, those in our own midst and those amongst our neighbors. In the name of Israeli inventors who have amazed the world with their innovations, help us apply the same ingenuity to finding a path to peace. In the name of all these individuals, grant us strength to conquer doubt and despair in Israel. Replacing doubt with action, replacing despair with hope. And let us say, Amen.
I'm going to begin wrapping up our service. I believe both Monice and my father said that there's some paper literature right outside, but I do want you to know that besides the fact that I have a really good in to get somebody from the Holocaust Museum to come here and speak, my original motivating factor was prior to working here, when I was working at a different synagogue and working with the youth department, I sent somewhere between 40 and 50 kids on the March of the Living. I have never been on it. And I want to, Moni said you planted a kernel. I'm going to dig a hole and say, I want to start the conversation about Temple Sinai delegation in 2025. April 20th, right, almost my mom's birthday. So I would love to continue that conversation and have you, as Moni's talked about being a witness, help us have more witnesses. So with that, we come to our Kaddish prayer. You can find the list, the Kaddish list in the leaflet you may have gotten at the front. Please rise when you hear, if you hear a name that you are here for Kaddish, and when we're finished, if anybody has a name to add, please do so. This week, we remember the victims of the tragedy in Israel. Herb Weiner, Edward Golden, Joseph Bulkin, Velda Lee Krause, Dan Schaefer, Bobby Hamill, Lou Small, Barbara Ann Smith, David Topol, Morton Sivan, Charles Dox, Marie Quast, Susanna Picanato Muley, and Gerd Lester. And for those who are observing Yortzeit, Herb Horowitz, Fred Michaels, Dewey Jacobs, Lorraine Robinson, Florence Schwartz, Rose Schneider Jabin, Ben Silva III, Una Strauss, Gertrude Bennett, Abraham Edelman, Susan Friedman, Meyer Cantor, Hillard C. Gottlieb, Albert A. Lane, Ralph Geist, Jenny Sampson, and Hilda Stern. Does anybody have names that you would like to add? Please raise your hand. Andrew.
Steve Lawrence.
And with that, we all rise to join in Kaddish together. And I would say, in the air of what we're doing, of our program tonight, the 6 million as well. You can find the Kaddish on page 598. Yitgadal v'yitkadash shemei Rabbah, be'alma divra chirutei ve'amlich malchutei, b'chayechon uv'yomechon uv'chayei dechol beit Yisrael, ba'agala uv'izman kariv ve'imru amen. Yehei shmei Rabbah mevarach le'olam ulalmei almaya. Yitbarach ve'yishtabach ve'yitpa'ar ve'yitramam ve'yitnaseh. Ve'yithadar ve'yitaleh ve'yithalal shmei dekudisha barichu. Le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata tushbechata v'nechemata da'amiran be'alma ve'imru amen. Yehei shlama Rabbah min shemaya v'chayim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael ve'imru amen. Oseh shalom b'mromav hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael ve'al kol yoshvei tevel ve'imru amen. May the one who creates harmony on high bring peace to us and all Israel. And we all say, amen. Please be seated. Oseh shalom b'mromav hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael ve'imru amen. Oseh shalom b'mromav hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael ve'imru amen. And at this time, I would like to call up Sally Davis as a representative of our board to share some announcements. That's a really good question.
So usually they hand us something that's already pre-written, but we don't have it. So I'm going to tell you about some things that I know about. Shabbat Shalom. Thank you all for coming and joining us.
First of all, I have to thank our guests. It was
needless to say, quite moving, yes. And we appreciate your time. Whew. Okay. Guess I have to put on the glasses. Oh, adults, check your email. You should have all received a special message from your Aunt Shirley about our Purim Shabbat next March 2 weeks, March 22nd. And then we also have the Purim celebration and carnival, which the children will be participating in March 24th. Okay, then I turn it over and it says special presentation tonight. And then we have Kids Shabbat on March 15th. And is there anything else? Say it more. Music Shabbat on the 15th. Okay, that doesn't say that. It does? Okay. Okay. All right. Well, anyway, thank you. And thank you for coming. Shabbat Shalom. And please join us for Onik.
We will definitely next week have to give thanks for those who supplied the flowers or donated to supply the flowers this week, as we do not have that list today. Oh, is it on there? Oh, got it right there. Here we go. Oh, there's.
Here at the bottom.
And here's the announcement. Would you like to do them? Would you like to read that part?
I would be pleased to.
Dan Heller, our president.
Hello, Shabbat Shalom, everyone. The flowers are presented this Shabbat through the Bello Mohol Agnes Lieberman Flower Fund by Martha Sensel and Joel Schwartz, for the art site of Joel's mother, Florence Schwartz, by Wendy and Joel Bennett, for the yard sites of their beloved parents, Phyllis and Lionel Michael, and Gertrude and Murray Bennett. Shabbat Shalom.
I'm going to make one little correction about that Aunt Shirley thing. She's my Aunt Shirley, because, I think we say it's your Aunt Shirley. If you ever wanted to celebrate Purim the way it was intended, to be boisterous and ridiculous and adult, this is the way to celebrate it. So it's not a night, it's a night not to be missed. With that being said, we will close our service. I'm just missing a page. Give me 1 second. Page 625. We'll all join together for Adon Olam. Adon Olam, Asher Malach, B'terem Kol, Yetzir Nivra, Le'et Nasa, B'chefso Kol, Azai Melech Shemo Nikra Adon Olam, De'acharei Kichlot HaKol, Levado Yimloch Nora Adon Olam, Vehu Haya, Vehu Hoveh, Vehu Yeh Betifara Adon Olam, Asher Malach, B'terem Kol, Yetzir Nivra, Le'et Nasa, Behefso Kol, Azai Melech Shemo Nikra Adon Olam. Shabbat Shalom. Please join us in the social hall. Come on back and grab your teeny tiny Kiddush cup. I've had a request for the full Shabbat Kiddush tonight, so we will do the full Shabbat Kiddush tonight. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam borei peri hagafen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher mitzvotav veratzavanu v'shabbat kodsho be'ahava hinchilanu zikaron lemase bereshit ki hu yom tehila lemikrae kodesh zecher litziat mitzrayim kivanu v'acharta ve'otanu kidashta mikol hamim ve'shabbat kodshecha be'ahava uvratzon hinchaltanu Baruch atah Adonai mekadesh hashabbat l'chaim. Ooh, are these homemade? Oh, these are homemade by Philippine. So we can create our challah chain. Somebody who's touching the challah, and we join together. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam hamotzi lechem min haaretz b'tei avon.